And you've come out, and yes, you have a concession on cars. You have a flat tariff still of 10%. Are you disappointed with that? Is this just the start?
This was supposed to be his moment. The press conference, the cameras, the Prime Minister standing tall, ready to sell the illusion of a historic trade deal. He looked confident, polished, almost victorious. British politics like this one don't. Forget to like the video and subscribe to Dark British, believe it or not. Over 98% of viewers watch our content without hitting the follow button. Subscribing is completely free. But then Beth Rigby asked one question and within seconds, the illusion crumbled. What followed wasn't a press event. It was a slow-motion political breakdown. One question after another. His voice started to shake. His eyes showed panic. The mood shifted from celebration to full damage control. He forced a smile. Tried to spin the story. But Beth wasn't letting go. So what did she ask? What was he trying to hide? And why is the man who promised bold change now defending a 10% tariff like it's some kind of achievement? Is he covering up embarrassment while quiet?
Back in February, when you did a press conference with Donald Trump in the White House, he said, we could end up with a real trade deal where tariffs wouldn't be necessary. We'll see. Those were Donald Trump's.
Trump, the man Starmer quietly despises, had more confidence in Britain's trade potential than Britain's own Prime Minister, and Beth Rigby knew it. She didn't ask a question, she delivered a punchline. His deal was dead on arrival, and she came prepared with facts. Trump had promised zero tariffs. Starmer brought back 10% and still had the nerve to call it progress. You could almost hear his ego collapse. It was a setup for public humiliation, and Starmer walked right into it.
And to those voters last week in the local elections that gave you the worst ever vote share you've had in a set of elections as a Labour Party, what's your message?
Here it comes, the kill shot. This wasn't just a question from Beth Rigby, it was a public takedown. A political autopsy aired live, and the body on the table, the soul of the Labour Party, cold, stiff, and unrecognizable. Labour didn't just stumble, it flatlined. This wasn't a slip, it was a full collapse unfolding in real time. A national vote of no confidence, written in bold red ink across every ballot box like an epitaph. A tombstone for Starmer's promises. A funeral for the so-called new direction he claimed to lead. And there he stood, like a man watching his own house, but only he wasn't reaching for water. He was clapping for the flames.
Thank you.
Well, my message to them is that we absolutely get the message that they sent last.
No, Keir, you don't. Because if you truly understood the anger behind those results, you wouldn't be standing there smiling like you just opened a community center. You'd be apologizing for betraying the people who once trusted you, for selling them fairy tales about change and delivering 10% tariffs and watered-down promises. But instead, your calm tone feels like an insult. Your message, just an empty reflex. This isn't leadership, it's denial. A man in a suit that doesn't fit anymore, crushed under the weight of public disappointment. Starmer wasn't shaken. He was prepared. And that's the real issue. He sees voter anger as something to manage, not something to face, not something to fix.
We will remain focused as ever on the national interest, and I have them in mind, I have the workforce here in mind when we make the decisions that we make. I don't make them for my sake, I make them on behalf of working people across this country.
This line is so empty it practically echoes. It should come with a laugh track and a slow clap from a room full of confused factory workers. Starmer looks straight into the camera and says, I don't make decisions for myself. I make them for working people, really. This is the same man who sat across from American trade negotiators, got steamrolled, then flew back home wrapped in the Union Jack like an under-rehearsed actor in a low-budget World War II play. He didn't fight, he didn't negotiate, he didn't lead, he gave in. And now, he walks around factory floors in a high-waist vest, posing like Churchill with a clipboard, thinking workers can't tell the difference between a costume and real courage. They're not getting policy, they're getting PR photo ops. Empty promises. He claims to stand for their interests. But every decision from trade to tariffs to industrial strategy tells a different story. He doesn't make decisions for himself. No, he doesn't make any real decisions at all. When pressure rises, he doesn't lead. He hides, wrapped in symbols, surrounded by advisors, hoping the look of leadership will cover up the complete lack of courage.
And in relation to this deal, yes, we would like to go further in relation to tariffs, but I think it's really important that we've been able to get this deal over the line now, because in that way we've been able to protect and save and enhance jobs right here, right now. And that reduction from 27.5% down to 10% makes a huge difference to firms like JLR and the decisions they have to make about the future.
Let's not sugarcoat it. This is Starmer admitting failure and dressing it up in corporate spin, hoping no one notices that a 10% tariff on British cars isn't a step forward. It's not a strategic compromise. It's a surrender disguised as progress, a loss delivered with a press release and a forced smile. And the example he keeps pushing. Jaguar Land Rover, British icon already struggling to survive in a brutal global market. JLR didn't need applause. It needed zero tariffs to compete. Instead, it got a 10% surcharge slapped on every car shipped to the US, and Starmer dares to say this helped protect jobs. How? By making British manufacturing more expensive, by giving German and Korean automakers an even bigger advantage, by waving a tiny Union Jack in front of a crumbling factory. This isn't economic strategy. It's political patchwork in a PR hospital, trying to revive the dead body of credibility with empty slogans and shaky hand gestures. If this is what Starmer calls a win, one can only wonder what a loss would look like. But for workers in Birmingham and beyond, they won't need to wonder. They'll be living it.
Decisions that I want them to make about the future. Steel and aluminium obviously been in the news hugely in recent weeks. To get that down to 0% as well is...
Let's break down the contour zero tariffs. But what about zero protections? You took away the tax, but left the back door wide open. Now cheap foreign steel can flood the UK market. Who pays the price? Not the lobbyists. Not the ministers. British steel workers do. Port Talbot, Scunthorpe, Redcar, real places, real jobs. Now sitting on the edge, and he's too busy congratulating himself for cutting protections like a well-trained neoliberal.
Pharmaceuticals is one of the most important sectors in our economy, and therefore there's nothing to get down at the moment because there isn't a tariff, but if there should be, to already have got into a position of significantly preferential.
He literally admits there are no tariffs on pharmaceuticals, nothing to cut, nothing to negotiate, nothing to win, and yet we're supposed to applaud. We're supposed to treat this like a breakthrough, a strategic victory, a matter of diplomacy. Let's be honest, this isn't policy, it's performance. When you have nothing real to offer, you grab the nearest feel-good industry, say the word preferential, and hope no one notices the empty box behind the shiny ribbon. No new investment. No regulatory changes, just smoke, mirrors, and Starmer grinning like he's just reinvented trade. That's not substance, it's a soundbite, a headline for the 6 o'clock news. It's filler, it's fluff, it's Starmer.
So I measure this by the reactions of those that are most affected by the tariffs, which is the workforce here, it's those in pharmaceuticals, those that are working in steel and aluminium.
Which workforce exactly? Name one. This is Starmer's favorite move, hiding behind working people to avoid real accountability. Criticize the deal, and suddenly he acts like you've insulted some nameless factory worker he's never even met. But let's be honest, no welders are celebrating a 10% tariff. No steel mills are popping champagne over a flood of American imports. This isn't representation, it's fabrication. He's pretending there's support and doing a bad job of it.
But look, there's a huge ambition here. There's a lot in the deal about tech. We are two of the leading economies on tech. There's a huge amount we can do on tech as well. So we want to go further. We want to go further in those areas and on tech.
When all else fails, say tech and hope it sounds clever. But trade deals aren't built on buzzwords. They're built on terms, tariffs and jobs. This isn't Silicon Valley. It's Sunderland, South Wales, Sheffield, and whilst waves around a hologram, the factory floor is being bulldozed. TED Talk slogans won't help the man in Rotherham whose foundry is shutting down, or the woman in Coventry watching her job disappear overseas. There's no digital opportunity when your industry just got sold out. Trade isn't about abstract ideas, it's about real people in real places. And right now they're being left behind.
Keeping our red lines absolutely in place on SBS and on food standards and agricultural standards, because that matters so much to us here.
Food standards. That's the hill Keir Starmer chose to die on after folding on auto tariffs, giving up steel leverage, and letting entire industries twist in the wind. And now he wants applause because he stood firm on QCOM. This is his red line. Not jobs, not sovereignty, not the tariffs that decide whether factories live or die. No, his big stand is over symbolic agricultural rules. That's not leadership, it's theater. Performative politics dressed up as principle. He's holding up food standards like a shield, hoping no one notices he's already surrendered the real battle. Because let's be honest, protecting chickens sounds great in a BBC soundbite. But ask the steelworker whose mill just closed. Ask the auto plant, now reconsidering investment in Britain. Would they rather have fair trade or a promise that their lettuce won't be rinsed in chlorine? Chlorine. That's Starmer's trade vision in a nutshell. Keep the salad clean, let the country rot. If your idea of strength is drawing the line at lettuce while giving up on everything that actually builds national power, you're not a leader. You're a coward hiding behind salad leaves, hoping no one notices the factories shutting down behind you. So tell us, If a 10% tariff is what he calls success, what does failure even look like under his leadership? Let us know in the comments. This is how he handles power. How dangerous would it be to give him more? Want to see more like this? Like, share and subscribe for ongoing coverage of the major shifts happening in British politics.